Astonishing revelation. Yes, let that phrase resound in your mind for a moment. Welcome, my friends, to How to Heal Avoidant Attachment, 4 Crucial Steps. Today, we embark on a journey deep into the labyrinth of human relationships, guided by the echo of childhood experiences and the formidable walls many of us erect to shield our hearts. But fret not. Together, we shall illuminate the hidden chambers of the avoidant style, dissolve the barriers of fear, and cultivate a bold sense of connection in the face of life's emotional storms. Now, you might be wondering what it truly means to heal avoidant attachment. Some believe it's all about giving the avoidant partner copious amounts of space and hoping they'll return ready to engage. Quite the contrary, my dear friends. In many ways, when an avoidant individual runs for the hills, it's because there's a vast, swirling tornado brewing inside them, a tempest of uneasy emotions and unspoken anxieties. They seek distance, not merely for the sake of alone time, but to spare themselves the vulnerability of being swept up in someone else's emotional hurricane. Alas, that solution merely extends the chaos. Imagine truly being trapped in a storm. The better course, as weather experts will tell you, is to leave the vehicle, lie as close to the ground as possible, and allow the tempest to pass over. And so, in the emotional realm, greater safety often arrives not from endless distance, but from hunkering down and finding a place of calm honesty within. Childhood emotional neglect is frequently the root cause of avoidant patterns. Perhaps you grew up in a household where love was present in the practical sense. Food, shelter, even gentle instruction, but emotional needs were brushed aside. Maybe the words, "cheer up," or "you'll be fine," felt like easy dismissals of real, deep feelings. Little by little, a shell begins to form around one's heart. Every time you sensed too much closeness, you interpreted it as a threat, for you had never been taught that closeness could feel safe. The result is the well-known seesaw dynamic. When fear rises, your ability to stay emotionally available plummets. But here's the glimmer of hope, the warm light at the end of the tunnel. This style of relating is not set in stone. Many men and women around the world, once trapped in this repeating cycle of run and hide, have found their way out of the emotional labyrinth. It's a matter of reflection, creativity, curiosity, and, dare I say, courage. Indeed, genuine transformation doesn't necessarily happen overnight, but with the right steps, it can unfold more gracefully than you might imagine. Our roadmap for this metamorphosis rests upon 4 vital steps. 1. Healing avoidant attachment with playfulness and creativity. 2. Developing self-trust. 3. Cultivating flexible boundaries. And 4. Mastering healthy communication skills. While these steps may sound relatively straightforward, each holds countless nuances. Let's explore them with attentiveness, as if savoring the subtle notes of a fine wine. Step 1. Healing avoidant attachment with playfulness and creativity. To truly heal, one must first reconnect with the brightness of youth, those moments of curiosity, exploration, and wholehearted spontaneity. If your early years were colored by emotional neglect, it's possible your sense of play was stifled. The little voice inside you that once squealed with excitement at the sight of a new toy or the possibility of an adventure went quiet. Instead of soaring freely, you learned to be vigilant. But to break down avoidant barriers, you must learn to play again. This might sound fanciful, even frivolous, to the uninitiated, but consider how moments of genuine laughter, silly inside jokes, comedic mishaps in the kitchen, scribbling whimsical drawings, open a portal to authentic bonding. It's through carefree moments that you practice being vulnerable without the weight of expectation or shame. Think of a child with crayons, letting imagination flow across the paper, unconcerned about the final product. It's not failure if the tree is purple or the elephant has 5 legs. It's simply delight in creation. In the same vein, for an avoidant adult, there's liberation in trying new playful pursuits. Take a dance class with your partner, experiment with a silly cooking challenge, or create a small theatrical scene in your living room. Each playful undertaking can gradually chip away at those formidable emotional walls. Step 2. Developing self-trust. Here is one of the great paradoxes of the avoidant style. It often masquerades as self-sufficiency, yet in truth the individual lacks trust not just in others, but in themselves. When you feel uneasy in the midst of emotional confrontation, when your partner demands something of you that sounds suspiciously like sacrifice, you're not simply running from them, you're running from your own worry that you cannot stand firm and maintain who you are. The fear is that you'll be swallowed whole or forced to comply, losing the essence of your identity. Yet when you methodically cultivate self-trust, a remarkable shift occurs. You begin to see that you can hold on to your sense of self even while standing close to another person's emotional fire. You won't disintegrate, nor will you be consumed by demands. You learn to communicate your limits and express your needs in a balanced way, discovering that genuine closeness does not have to end in suffocation. Instead of fight or flight, you begin to choose stay and soothe. That is real resilience. Developing self-trust involves slowly, gently, leaning into those moments you fear might cause you to crumble. Perhaps the next time a loved one approaches you, arms outstretched with vulnerability, you permit yourself a moment longer than usual before recoiling. Maybe you say, "Let me think on that and get back to you," instead of stonewalling. Small steps, but each with the power to rewire old reactions, building an internal sense of strength that says, "I can be close and remain myself." Step 3. Cultivating flexible, healthy boundaries. This one is often misunderstood. Folks assume that avoidant individuals are brimming with boundaries. Indeed, some appear to have moats and turrets around their emotional castle. Yet the truth is that these barricades are rigid and reactive, the product of fear rather than genuine clarity. Healthy boundaries are flexible. They allow a give and take that acknowledges both your emotional integrity and the other person's. Imagine a well-tended garden. There's a fence that keeps out the obvious intruders, yet the gate can be opened to welcome those you trust. You choose how and when to share space. Rigid boundaries often trap an avoidant person behind an all-or-nothing fortress. Either they refuse to engage, or they capitulate entirely out of fear of appearing too rigid. This all-or-nothing approach leads to confusion. For one moment you're appearing so open that you might as well have "welcome" scrawled upon your soul, and the next, you've slammed the door without explanation. To break free, first identify what truly matters to you, your values, your emotional capacity, your personal rhythms, and then communicate those to your loved ones, calmly and respectfully. When you begin to see how boundaries function as lines of mutual respect rather than barbed wire fortifications, you realize they're an invitation to connect safely rather than to keep everyone at bay. Step 4. Mastering healthy communication skills. At last, we arrive at communication, that grand, ever-present tapestry of human exchange. We're taught to talk, taught to read and write, yet so rarely taught to communicate emotionally. Many an avoidant partner has retreated simply because they lacked a vocabulary for inner turbulence. They felt a swirl of confusion, yet only a single defensive gesture emerged: distance. Meanwhile, the anxious partner at the other end was left feeling abandoned, reeling with questions. Healthy communication often begins with listening more deeply than you've ever listened before. not just to the words your partner utters, but to the tremor in their voice and the longing in their eyes. Then reflect back what you hear in simple, honest words. I hear you're upset. I understand that this is important to you. Or, it's not easy for me to hear, but I value what you're sharing. Avoidant individuals sometimes fear that by stepping into this empathic space, they'll be manipulated or burdened with yet more expectations. Yet what truly occurs is the forging of an unspoken pact, a demonstration that you are both capable of protecting your boundaries and valuing someone else's. As you speak about your own emotions, try to name them. Are you lonely? Are you anxious? Are you resentful or confused? The more you can describe your inner experience plainly, the less terrifying it becomes. A labyrinth, after all, is only confounding until you hold a thread that leads out. Let me share a brief story to illustrate the subtle wonder of such communication. I knew a man, let us call him Gregory, who prided himself on his independence. He was reliable in practical matters, paying bills, fixing the sink, ensuring the yard was trimmed. Yet whenever his partner approached him about an emotional matter, Gregory's trademark response was, "I can't talk about this now," followed by an abrupt exit. One day, after reading about healthy communication, Gregory tried something different. When his partner began a difficult conversation, instead of running, he took a breath and said, "I'm struggling to stay in this conversation. I feel pressure and it's making me want to leave. But I know this is important to you, and I want us to be okay. Let me gather my thoughts for a moment, and then let's talk." With that simple statement, Gregory unlocked a door. He honored his own discomfort. He signaled that he wasn't comfortable with the speed of the dialogue and acknowledged his partner's need to be heard. They eventually resolved the issue in a calmer manner than ever before. It takes time, of course, to make such communication patterns second nature. Yet with practice and compassionate determination, the avoidant person becomes more than just a solitary traveler. They discover the sweet balance between personal freedom and soul-nourishing intimacy. So, there you have it, my dear friends. How to heal avoidant attachment. 4 crucial steps. From rekindling playfulness to cultivating self-trust. From setting flexible boundaries to learning new communication skills. This journey promises to be one of both challenge and triumph. Allow your inner tornado to be acknowledged and faced, rather than always fled. Face it with your heart unshielded, lying in the open, trusting that you are strong enough to weather it. And trust also that the people worthy of your journey are those who will stand by you, offering empathy and understanding for the storms within. May you find relief in playful moments, gently peeling away each layer of tension until you discover the shining spirit of your deepest self. May you develop trust in that self, so steadfast and resilient that you can welcome a loved one into your sphere without fear of being consumed. May your boundaries form like gentle tides, guarding your shore yet allowing for the harmonious flow of connection. And in all your dialogues, may you speak truth with warmth, clarity, and honesty, forging an unbreakable bond that fosters genuine growth. With every step forward on this path, let your heart pulse with new vigor and acceptance. Healing from avoidant attachment can indeed be a grand, sweeping transformation. Whatever chapters came before in your story, know that your next steps can be written with compassion and renewed hope for closeness. May this reflection offer you the courage to face the swirling winds of your own inner world and the poise to stand tall, unafraid, as each storm passes over.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.